I flew home to Canada, very family-oriented Christmas, which was so nice. We had this cookie competition and it got pretty serious, and everyone's like, oh, this is so funny. Of course you made a rubric, ha ha ha. Yes, I was creative and yes, I wanted to play. However, there was a specific way that you must play. For the most part, quite revitalized and very excited for 2025. I've been struggling with finding friends, just socializing. What I do here is pretty isolating. My boyfriend and I will never have this much freedom again. We're not doing enough, we're not socializing enough, or, all the things that we think we're not enough of. I go into conversations with such excitement. I don't prep any questions beforehand. I just kind of go with the flow and really let the conversation go where it's meant to. You have a passion, follow it, and it'll eventually turn into a career. So many of the people that I spoke to on season 1 had some sort of pivot. It's not about finding the right career. It's about knowing your values and choosing a path that values the same thing. We are often so intent on finding the one right career. Teaching might not be my forever career. It's still something that I think aligns with my values. Whatever your definition of success is, it takes time and patience. Hello guys, welcome back to Season Professional. It has been 3 weeks since we have chatted and since I've done anything, which is crazy to say because I've been working on this since February, and that's kind of a record for me in terms of working on a creative project and actually staying consistent with it. So having the 3 weeks off, even though it was very much needed, feels weird being back. Of course, I was celebrating Christmas and New Year's, as I hope all of you were and had a lovely time. I really hope you had a wonderful holiday. But I actually flew home for both of those things. So I flew home to Canada. I live just outside of Toronto. And I basically reverted back to, when I was living at home with my parents for 3 weeks. And it was actually really nice. I was so happy to go home for Christmas, but it was really nice, being with my parents and being with my boyfriend's parents. And it was a very family-oriented Christmas, which was so nice. At this age, I'm 26, my family and I, we don't do presents anymore, and we haven't for a while. We do Secret Santa. So while the focus is a little bit on presents, you got your $200 limit, the majority of the focus is on spending time with those you love. And it was just such a wonderful Christmas. And we had this cookie competition, and it got pretty serious. I got pretty serious about it. And it was funny. I was we had a bunch of winners. It was $20 prize, $10 prize, and $5 prize. And then there was the People's Choice Award, which was you won a bottle of wine. And everyone was kind of joking because I made a rubric for this. And if those of you that don't know, I am a teacher. And everyone's like, oh, this is so funny. Of course you made a rubric, ha ha ha. And it was just something very stereotypical of my personality to be so organized when it came to this. But I think everyone really enjoyed it, and hopefully it'll become a little tradition within our family, which is really nice. The other thing that was super weird was I was watching home videos. I absolutely adore watching home videos because I think it's just really cute to look back at that time of your life. And typically I look back at them and I'm like, oh, so cute, la la, the normal stuff you'd say, right? This was the first time that I was able to look at my childhood self and realize just how controlling I actually was. my brother and I have a difficult relationship at the moment just because we have very different personalities. And one of his criticisms of me is that I am controlling. And I'm watching this video from, I was probably 5, I think. And the like type A controlling perfectionist nature was evident then. And it's so strange to like look back and be like, wow. Like, yes, I was creative and yes, I wanted to play. However, there was a specific way that you must play. You know, like there was a way that was correct. And yeah, it's just funny to like reflect on that. Let's see what else. What else have I done over the past 3 weeks? I was sick for like a week, which is, again, this year has been, I've been getting sick more frequently and I don't know why. You know, perhaps not like really resting because I don't do that very well. But yeah, I think the 3 weeks was much needed. I am feeling, for the most part, quite revitalized and very excited for 2025. Like I am, part of me feels a little bit anxious about all the stuff I have to do in relation to Seasoned Professional, but I'm trying to maintain present and really savor this moment. I was speaking to my boyfriend's mom about how like I've been struggling with like finding friends in the UK and like, you know, just socializing, because obviously this, what I do here is pretty isolating because I spent so much time editing. And then my other stuff currently, I'm not working like in an office or with other colleagues. So it's just difficult to make connections with people. And I honestly was like, I forget how to socialize. But basically what she said to me was that my boyfriend and I will never have this much freedom again in our lives. And that instead of feeling like we need to be elsewhere or feeling like, you know, we're not doing enough or not socializing enough or, you know, all the things that we think we're not enough of, she just said that like to really savor this time because we'll look back on it with such joy and positivity and maybe even like envy for that past self. So that is something that I'm practicing this year. We are currently 7 days in and I think I've been okay, actually. I think I've been doing okay in terms of that, but I'm going to try to remember that as the year continues on, is just to try to be present and be appreciative of this time in our lives when, you know, we are able to have some freedom in our days and all that sort of stuff. I guess essentially today's podcast is, first of all, just to say thank you for anyone who has listened, watched, shared, commented, subscribed to the show. It has honestly means so much. I go into conversations with such excitement, and being able to like actually share them with people and see the response has been so incredible. And I know season 2 is going to be even more fantastic. And, you know, I've already filmed 4 episodes for season 2, and I'm hoping to have a lot of really exciting guests on to just keep discussing, you know, careers, their lives, success, and all that sort of stuff. And I suppose the other reason that I wanted to come on here is to kind of wrap up season 1. I think, you know, some of the criticisms that I've gotten so far not necessarily criticisms, but critiques, I suppose, of, sorry, I'm pressing on my boob right now. Apologies, but my nipple pad just fell off. Anyways, let's keep this professional, shall we? And I'm really hoping this is capturing my audio. Anyways, yes. So as I was saying, oh, what was I saying? Yes, sorry. One of my critiques from mainly my parents is that the podcasts are very long. And while I do appreciate that, I'm someone who loves a long podcast. Like, I just put it on while I'm cleaning or while I'm out walking or, going to the grocery store. Like, I love a long podcast. And when I kind of scoped it out to see if I should do like part 1, part 2 of episodes, or if I should just, put out the full episode, or if I should like edit it back a lot, all the people who are in my like age bracket and who really listen to a lot of podcasts said that the length was fine. However, I do appreciate that not all of us have listened to every single podcast, and I kind of wanted to have a space where I can recap the season and the lessons that I've personally learned, and hopefully just share that with you as well. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're going to chat about today. It's funny, when I was like setting up this episode, I was like going through my head how I was going to start it. And it's weird because when I have my actual interviews with people, I obviously do my research on them, but I don't prep any questions beforehand, and I don't have any notes. And yeah, I just kind of go with the flow and really let the conversation go where it's meant to. But when I was like just like cleaning the kitchen and stuff before this and making an unfortunate matcha that I don't want to show you because the matcha didn't really blend, it's a whole thing. I was like rehearsing what I was going to say. And it's just weird. I'm now even like having trouble. Like, I'm like, normally I have someone to look at. I don't even have a cameraman. I'm just looking at my camera. Anyways, let's go on with it, shall we? So I've actually written some notes. This is very unlike me, because normally I write absolutely nothing. However, today we've got some notes. I have interviewed and have been so fortunate to talk to a variety of different people from a variety of different industries and a variety of different backgrounds. Like, I had some people on the show this season that knew what they wanted to be from like the age of 3 and proceeded to become that, and is still doing that at the age of 60. So it is wild to think that, and I actually anticipated before I started my interviewing and research of these guests, I anticipated more people to be uncertain about their career path. However, the majority of people that I interviewed had some idea during their youth, I suppose. But that's not to say that there were some people who had absolutely no idea what they wanted to do and eventually figured it out and eventually became incredibly successful in terms of what success looks like to them. So that was super interesting. And yeah, I just, there's so many things I could say about this season and things that people said that just stood out to me. Things like, oh, if you have a passion, follow it, and it'll eventually turn into a career. Or, staying true to your values, or the importance of asking the difficult questions. Honestly, I think each episode carries with it a different lesson, and depending on where you are in life, you'll get something different out of it, which I think is really valuable, because you can look back at the same conversation multiple times and get something completely new from it, which I think is really special. So yeah, I guess I'm proud of myself for exploring these people's lives and sharing it with you. So, without further ado, let me share with you my 3 key takeaways from season 1 of Seasoned Professional. So, according to my notes here, my first key takeaway is people pivot. Okay, so whether they pivot away and take a break from what they had initially been doing career-wise and then come back to it, or they pivot completely away from the career they had and explore something new. So many of the people that I spoke to on season 1 had some sort of pivot, some sort of shift, some sort of break in their career path. And one of the most, I suppose, unique pivots that happened was on Rocky's episode, which I will link below, where she was becoming successful in terms of, financial gain, in terms of the level at which her career was at, and she decided to leave. She was in the legal career. She was a lawyer at the time in London, and she decided after her mother passing away that she was going to leave and go to India to join an ashram. And while she did pursue legal advice while at the ashram, it was a completely different pace of life, a completely different set of values that she had every day, just completely different. And from what I recall, she spent just over a year at the ashram, and it changed her. It completely changed her way of communicating with colleagues, communicating with, society around her. And upon return from the ashram, she realized that she actually couldn't continue with the role that she had held initially because it just didn't align with her anymore. So that pivot really allowed her to reevaluate what was important to her and establish the kind of life that she wanted to have moving forward. Another really interesting pivot that was discussed was on the first episode with Mark. When he had just graduated, I believe he was working a little bit as a veterinarian, and during the winter months, he would leave England and go off to France to be a bartender. And a lot of the people around him had the opinion of, why are you doing this? Why are you leaving a perfectly good career where you are, climbing the ranks and going off for months at a time to bartend? And he described it as some of the best times of his life because he was able to learn so much and experience the socialization that he may not have had as a younger child when he was so fascinated with, learning things, knowledge, and maybe less interested in the social aspects that is to be a human. So in that pivot, even though he did end coming back to veterinary medicine and he was doing that during the off seasons when he wasn't in France, he was able to build his social repertoire, if you will, and gain essential skills and learn new languages and meet new people and really build his confidence in terms of interpersonal relationships, which is so crucial when you're working in a career that helps others, as veterinary medicine does. And it's funny, I don't think he would be the person today that he is today if he hadn't had that pivot of exploring something new and, experiencing the world a little bit. Because if you go to episode 1, he describes himself as a very shy, awkward child, and never in the world would I have ever imagined mark to be like that. So yeah, it just goes to show the importance of the pivot. The second lesson I learned is it's not about finding the right career. It's about knowing your values and choosing a path that values the same thing. So in my episode with Bud, he spoke a lot about values. He was one of my guests that had no idea what he wanted to be as a child or, later in his teens or even after going to university. He didn't really have a clear idea, but he spoke about the values. And when he mentioned that, I was like, yes, that's exactly what it should be. People always debunk the idea of a soulmate, right? And that there are many people out there that could fit our personality and vibe with us and create a beautiful life. However, we are often so intent on finding the one right career. But if there's not one right person out there for us, then how is it possible that there's only one right career? I think there are many careers that could suit us. And instead of focusing on, passion or, maybe a status that you're trying to fulfill, because all those things come with so much pressure. For some people, finding something that pays and that they're passionate about is an impossible task. And saying to someone who is struggling with their career, oh, just find something you're passionate about. Well, it's not always that simple. Some people don't even know what they're passionate about, as I've gone through many times in my life where I don't know what I'm passionate about. So I think going back to basics and focusing on the values. And I've even spoken to my boyfriend Clay about this quite a bit recently, is our values in life and how we can shape our careers and our career choices to suit those values. So, for example, I really value family, and I am going to choose a career that will allow me to spend time with my family. I also value helping people in some respect. So that's initially why I went into teaching, is because I really wanted to help people. And while teaching might not be my forever career, it's still something that I think aligns with my values and makes me feel fulfilled in that sense. While it might be really difficult and daunting to choose a career, at the age of 18 and choose the path that you're going to go down, maybe try and write down your values in life and see if the career that you are looking at matches that. Yes, values, very important. And the last thing that I've learned is however you define success. So whether that be financial success, freedom, creativity, whether your success is like running your own business or being an entrepreneur or, retiring early, like whatever that might be, whatever your definition of success is, it takes time and patience. And those are two things that I have a hard time accepting. Like I've mentioned before on today's episode, I have been working on this since February, and it's the first time that I have kept something up. I have had so many creative pursuits. If you have any sort of like creative thing inside of you, I think we've all gone through, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to become a YouTuber, or I'm going to make a movie, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And while I have like the startings of all of these things, I never followed them through. And I would always get really mad at myself just thinking that, I didn't have the discipline or the perseverance or the ability to make myself successful in those areas. And while I don't believe seasoned professional is successful as of yet, I do believe that it's going to happen because I'm making a commitment to myself to see it through. I started this in February and I felt something about this one. I felt something about this creative project that I was going to see it through, and I am going to see it through, and I am going to see success in whatever form that may be. And I haven't exactly nailed that one down yet. I don't know what the success is going to look like, but I know I'm going to achieve it. It just takes patience. It takes time. It takes not comparing yourself to others' timelines, and it takes practice, because we can say that we're patient people. We can say that we are fine, that things might take longer than others. But when it comes right down to it, I am not an innately patient person. And 2025 will be a continued growth of patience and trying to be present with myself. The camera just stopped recording, which means I am 30 minutes in and you've probably heard enough of me talking to myself. So, you will hear this on January. Wednesday's the 8th, Thursday's the 9th, Friday's the 10th, 11th, 12th, January 12th. And we'll be back to regular programming. So once again, every Sunday, I'll be putting out new episodes. I am so excited for 2025. I am so excited for you and all you're going to accomplish and the beautiful things that you're going to do. I know we're going to have a beautiful year. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe, share, like, comment, do all the things, become my friend. Please, 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 please. And just thank you so much. And I don't really have anything else to say other than I will see you on Sunday.